on Power Talk AM 1460 and FM 101.1. Streaming worldwide on iHeartRadio. Jan Price talks to the movers and shakers in the film business. The Jan Price Show.
You're listening to The Jan Price Show, and today my guest is writer-director Scott Martin, and we're talking about his brand new movie called Big Kill. And Scott, I have to tell you, I get a lot of movies, obviously, to watch before I do interviews, and sometimes they're not very good. And and I have to do an interview, but I have to tell you, I really, really, really enjoyed your movie immensely.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's really nice of you to say. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Very much so. So I'm really looking forward to talk to you about this movie. It was well. First of all, you also star in the movie. So you wrote, directed, starred, and you also produced it. So you wore many hats.
I did. Yeah.
Was that the first time you've done all four of the different, capacities in a movie?
No, it's the second time I did that. The first one was a really small movie. It was successful for us, but a really small movie several years ago, and that was the first one. And I actually edited it as well.
Oh my goodness!
I don't plan on doing that again, though. I think this was plenty for this one. I think I'm just going to stick to a one or two for the next picture. But I have done it before. Yes.
So what was that like for you, wearing all those different hats?
Well, the first and foremost, you have to have a great team around you. I mean, you just have to. So to say that I did all those things, I could only do those things with the people that were on the picture. And they all, except for the acting and directing, they kind of take place at different times. So the writing, obviously, well, the history of it, I actually wrote this script about 12 years ago, so it was written quite a while ago. And then on the producing side, once I was heavily involved in the producing leading up to it, in the development, pre-production. But once we got into production, my partner Michael Slifkin ran the ball on that one and was in charge of the producing, and our line producer Erica Steele is fantastic, and the team and all that. So really, the acting and directing are the two that kind of butt heads sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine it's hard to direct yourself. I would think.
It is, sure. I mean, there's really no one there to give you direction.
Right.
So,
no eyes.
You have to. Yeah. It's a lot of preparation and making sure that you know the character in and out before you get there. Because when you're directing, there's also so many other things going on. So you have to know all that, prior to getting there on set, and of course just being willing and being able to adapt as other actors throw out different things you weren't expecting or whatnot. So, that part is challenging. It's also interesting being in a scene with someone and then after a cut, going over and talking to the person you were just acting with and giving them some direction. It's a little, they have to have a lot of trust, to be able to do that, which. I was fortunate enough to have some great actors, and I didn't, the professional people that come on and have their own point of view and things going on. So it was really helpful.
Well, you have a great cast. You really do. Christoph Sanders, he was just perfect in that part, perfect in the role. I've known Christoph for a long time. Most people know him from, Tim Allen's show on Fox. But I've known Christoph since he moved to LA, so I've known him for a long time. We were in the same acting class together and whatnot. And I just think the world of him as a person and an actor. And he's so known for comedy on Last Man Standing and the kind of character he plays, which is kind of a bumbling idiot. So for him to be able to get the chance to show his acting chops and other things he can do, I'm just really happy for him. And I'm just so thrilled with what he did, and I hope people respond to it.
Oh yeah, I know he was absolutely perfect, and gosh, you attracted such a great cast. I just got to go through it. Jason
Thank
Patrick, who I
Yes.
think is I've always liked Jason Patrick, always, but he is so good as this evil
Good.
character.
Yeah, this preacher, and Jason is a very cerebral actor. He comes in and he wants to make sure everything for his character is spot on and right, and every word he says goes towards the character he's doing and where it's going. And so he and I would sit and talk about the different lines and each scene. Where are we going with this? And it was a great experience. It really was, and you see why, working with him, you see why he always delivers these top-notch performances in every role he does. So it was great. Yeah.
And then his counterpart there, Lou Diamond Phillips, also. We've got to talk about his costume. My God, first of all, we got to talk about the colors in this movie anyhow, because they're really, really, really amazing and vivid, and the cinematography is beautiful. But who decided to put Lou Diamond Phillips in a red cowboy outfit?
Yes,
I guess I don't know what to call it.
Suit, right?
Suit, yes.
Yeah.
Like the devil. He was the devil to the preacher.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. That was Toby Bronson, our costume designer, who I call him our mad genius. He's and if someone like Toby and he and I have worked together before, and he's so good, he's so talented, and if you just kind of let him go, he'll come back with all kinds of crazy but kind of awesome things, at the same time. And leading up to, like in pre-production, before we even got to New Mexico, he and I sat down, and I did the same thing with the production designer and DP. Went through the look of the movie, and what I was telling everybody is I wanted a lot of color. Back then, at this time in the Old West, the color dyes had just become readily available to everyone. They became very cheap, so everyone could have them. So people were wearing color. It's like an explosion of color. People were wearing color everywhere. And if you see, we're so used to black and white pictures, we kind of think of it that way.
Right.
It's kind of drab and bland, but that's not how it was. If you ever see colorized pictures and things like this, or you go and you actually see the clothing they wore is very colorful. It's the primary colors, obviously, but it's very colorful.
Right.
There's plaids. There were all kinds of things. Some of these guys are going to the saloons. The card players and gunslingers. They're like peacocks walking into a saloon, and they wanted everybody to see them. And I really wanted to bring that out. So that was the direction. And then going to talking to Toby, I said, everything has to be period correct, but go have fun with it. See what you get. See what you have. And some of these costumes he came back with. And when you have someone like that, and you can just keep telling them yes, it just keeps getting better and better and better. So Toby brought these costumes back, and then we had several for Lou Diamond Phillips before he got there. All wonderm costumes. With that red one, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And then when Lou showed up on set, and he had this. He came over and was doing his wardrobe fitting. I was obviously on set shooting, and then I had a moment. I came back to get something on my trailer, and maybe it was lunch or something. And I did a knock on my door, and I opened the door, and there's Toby standing there, and Lou Diamond Phillips in this magnificent red suit outfit. And I was floored, and I could see the expression on both of their faces, like, is this okay? I love this. Is this okay? Can we do this? And Toby said, can we, it's all right. And I was like, dude, You nailed it. Yes, I love this. And it was kind of like that with a lot of the costumes.
Oh, I mean, again, let's go. Christoph Sanders and the actor Casey Clyde played his brother, correct? And their costumes, because they came from the East Coast, and the juxtaposition of their type, very dandy-looking clothing compared to yours, and your sidekick, Clint. Was it Clint Hummel played
Clint Hummel, right?
And the two of you are in the darker, more Western-looking gear, and then you have these bright colors, and it just popped. I loved it. I couldn't wait for the next scene to see what else they were going to wear. To be honest with you.
One of my favorite costumes, I mean, I have a few, but one of them is Christoph's, the Jim character, when he's in that orange coat and his plaid pants, and it's such a bizarre, when you see it like hanging up on a rack, you think there's no way it's going to go together, right? Those things don't go together. And then you see it all put together, it was just wonderful. And for his character, it was just wonderful. What I just got to tell you the story real quick. One of the characters, he's one of the henchmen, one of the bad guys, played by Cord Newman. This character was, he was written as just a normal, like a cowboy, right? Just a regular everyday cowboy who's just one of the preacher's henchmen. And I cast Cord Newman, who's also a stunt guy. I cast him in the role because he has such a wonderful look. He's got this huge beard and magnificent hair, big hair. He's kind of a bigger guy. I'm like, I gotta have you in this movie. So I did that, and then about halfway through the movie, his character was coming to be in it, and he's got all this red in his beard and his hair and whatnot. I'm directing the scene between the mayor and Jim, the walking, talking after they first meet. And it's kind of an intense scene, and I'm into it with these guys, and we're talking, and I hear my name called, and I turn around, and there's Toby standing there with Cord, who is this 6-foot leprechaun. I mean, he's got green and all this stuff, and this top hat, and my jaw hit the floor, and Toby just kind of goes, "Can we do this?" I go, "Hell yeah, we can do this." Absolutely, this is the guy. We actually changed the character's name and the character to match the outfit, to match the wardrobe. I've never even heard of that happening.
No,
it was so good. Like, this guy is now someone else.
That's amazing. Now, what was his? Does he have an accent, or is he putting on an accent to go with the costume?
He's putting on an Irish accent.
Okay.
Okay. He wasn't supposed to be Irish. But then when he showed up looking that way, I was like, well, he's now Irish.
I know. It just really, it's a great costume. And again, his character just stands right out, So amazing. Now, you filmed this in, you filmed it in New Mexico. Where did you film it?
Correct. Just outside of Santa Fe was in this town that we shot most of it. And then that's where the actual town was, a movie set, and then we shot some of a couple of days on a Spanish-looking or Mexican-looking village for the opening sequence, and then a day of travel stuff that was farther out in New Mexico, up in like the mountains and whatnot. So.
And for the Mexican part, you had, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to mention you had Danny Trejo for that part too. So go ahead, talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, he plays a general, and really wanted to bring somebody in that would add more to the character, because it could be a fun character, right? I just like a kind of angry general, and we were able to get Danny Trejo to come out and do it, and he was great, and it was so much fun, and he's just. He brought so much more to the character than what was on the page. So it's I hope hopefully people enjoy watching him. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
a lot of fun to work with.
It was fun. So now the town. Did you actually build a set, or was there actually a little town out there that looked somewhat like this? I mean, there's a lot of color that was added.
Sure.
To the set, but was there a town there like that, or did you have to build a set?
There was.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's a standing set, and it's been used a lot and a lot of different stuff throughout the last probably 30 years. So it's definitely a standing set. And in fact, when we got out there, Lou said that they shot the original Young Guns, part of the original Young Guns there.
Oh, really?
And
wow.
I'm thinking even Young Guns 2, they came riding in past the same church and all this stuff. So it's got a lot of history, it's a place that you can shoot 360 degrees without seeing anything modern. So it's a lot of fun to shoot there.
Oh, perfect. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to the Jan Price Show, all about movies, and my guest today is writer, director, actor, producer, many hats, Scott Martin, and we're talking about his new movie, Big Kill. Scott, before we go any further, do you want to let the audience know a little bit of what the plot is for Big Kill?
Sure. Yeah, it's a Western about this tenderfoot from Philadelphia who goes out west. He loses everything he has, and he goes out west to find his brother, who's living in a boomtown. And along the way, he joins up with these two kind of rogue, sort of on the good side, sort of on the bad side guys. They become good friends, go out to the town where his brother is, called Big Kill. And the town is now deserted for the most part. It's a boomtown gone bust, and his brother's nowhere to be found, and it's being run by a bad preacher. So they have to find out what happened to his brother and potentially save this town and the good people that are left in there.
You know, when in watching it, it really brought up a lot of the old westerns from the 50s and 60s, and the music did too. I loved the music. The score is great, and it changes, throughout the film, and the mood changes. But it just brought back, for anybody who's, watched any of those old westerns, it certainly brought back that same type of feeling,
Oh, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. No, you really evoked that very much. And what I really loved is yes, there's action in it, obviously, but the character development, the relationships between all of these men, I thought that's what kept me really interested, was the relationships with each one of them. Obviously, Christoph Sanders' character and your character and Clint Hummel's character, are the glue that holds the film together, and your relationships. But it is an odd pairing for all of you in a way, that you've all become friends, and that's what I liked about it. So how did you develop that? You're welcome. How did that all come about? I mean, how did you decide? Yes, you wrote this, you said 12 years ago. And were you trying to get it produced over those years, or did you just put it away and then decide finally it's time to bring it out and produce it?
Well, at the time I wrote it 12 years ago, we thought we were going to make it thin, and then it didn't end up happening. So I did set it aside for all those years, and then the opportunity. I've always thought about it, though. It's always been in my head. It's one of those. I've written quite a few scripts at this point, and it's one of those that I just always wanted to make. And we got the opportunity to make a Western, and so I brought it back out and dusted it off. Did a little bit of a cleanup to it, and as took off and went with it. But the characters, I wanted these three guys to be, well, first the Jim character is so different than anyone who would be out in the West. I mean, he's fish out of water, doesn't belong out there.
Exactly.
And so we wanted to make sure that really comes out. And then the two guys he joins up with, the Jake and Travis, even though they're both, I wanted people to get the feel like they've been writing together for a long time. And even though they've been writing together for a long time, they're very different characters. The the way I always saw it is Jake. Jake is sort of the guy he's the quick gunfighter. He doesn't really want to get into gunfights, but he does. He just wants to gamble, and he's not even very good at that. The only thing he's good at is gunfighting. And Travis is the dandy. He's a ladies' man, and Travis is the character who, of the two, he's the one that always keeps Jake from he keeps Jake from becoming a full-blown outlaw, because he has a little bit of a moral center to him, and in turn, Jake keeps Travis alive. That's kind of their relationship.
Very interesting. And then they team up with Jim, who's just fish out of water, and it forms this really interesting character study.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, we and it was in the thing is you can write characters and you can write these things, backgrounds and all that stuff, but it's really the actors who bring it out. And without Christoph playing Jim, I just don't, I don't know how, if it would have come across the same. I mean, he just comes out and he is this tenderfoot from Philadelphia, and you see it and you believe it. And then, of course, later when he has his turn to standing up for what's right and willing to die and fight and die for what's right, you see that turn as well, and you believe it. And he just did a wonderful job.
Oh, he did. But, it also comes back to, Scott, to a good script and good direction, because, if you don't have a good script, forget about it, no matter what. You can have great actors, and if the script isn't there, you just don't have a movie. But you could have a great script, and if it's not directed well and edited well, then, again, you don't have a good movie. So in this one, I just feel you got it all together. I really, as I said, it's a fun movie. Everybody's got to go find this movie, Big Kill. So tell us where people can see it, and where you can find it, and when it's going to be released.
It'll coming out March 19th. It'll be out on March 19th. DVD, Blu-ray, Walmart. You can find it online on Amazon, VOD, iTunes, and Amazon again, and any of the other VOD or on demand on cable. You can find it in any of those places.
Great. We want to make sure everybody finds a Big Kill. So, did you know about this little town that you filmed in ahead of time? Is that why you decided to go there?
No. We didn't. In fact, in my head, the script was written for a different type of town. When doing in pre-production and doing location scouting, we found this place, and it's just ends up being so perfect, and so we met with the owner, Imogene. She's this pretty awesome lady. The first time we met her, she said that we have super nice. I literally just flew into New Mexico. Go out, meet her at her ranch house. She gives us coffee. She gave us apple pie she had just baked.
Wow.
Amazing. And then goes on to tell us, make sure you let me know what part of the ranch you're going to be on. Otherwise, my cowboys might shoot at you.
Oh, my goodness.
I am definitely in the right place. This is definitely... Yeah, this is perfect. This is where Big Kill's going to be filmed.
Exactly, the true Wild West. Well,
yeah, right.
That's an amazing story. Well, Scott, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure. I wish you much success with Big Kill. I know I know it will be a huge success. Everybody, please go find this movie. You won't be disappointed. It's really a fun movie. So thank you. You're welcome.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Scott. Pleasure having you on the show. Go to The Jan Price Show on Facebook to learn more about upcoming shows. And while you're there, please go like my page and write a comment if you like what we're doing here. And to listen to the Price Movie Minutes movie reviews and to listen to archive shows that you may have missed, go to thejanpriceshow.com.
On Power Talk AM 1460 and FM 101.1, streaming worldwide on iHeartRadio. Jan Price talks to the movers and shakers in the film business. The Jan Price Show.
Hi, this is Rich Little. Join me in beautiful Carmel by the Sea the weekend of March the 29th and 30th to celebrate the legendary Doris Day's 97th birthday. Enjoy a 60th anniversary screening of Pillow Talk with film host Ben Makowitz and Q&A with Doris's co-stars Jackie Joseph, Peter Marshall, and me, and a special concert by Michael Feinstein. Auctions, raffle, dog adoptions, and more. Proceeds benefit the Doris Day Animal Foundation. Hey, I'll even bring along Doris's leading men like Clark Gable, Jimmy Stewart, or Terry Grant. Visit DorisDayAnimalFoundation.org for tickets and more information.